Come right in the Mayweather suite.
He once carried $1 million in cash inside a duffel bag just to prove a point. No bodyguards holding it, no bank transfer, no wire receipt. Just Floyd Mayweather standing in front of a camera, dumping stacks of $100 bills onto a table like it was pocket change. That's not a stunt. That's a brand. They call him Money Mayweather. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that nickname might be the most accurate nickname in the history of sports. Because this isn't just a story about boxing. This is a story about a kid from a broken home in Grand Rapids, Michigan, who turned punches into private jets, turned a perfect record into a real estate empire, and turned his own name into a walking, talking, custom jeweled advertisement for wealth. Stick around, because the part of this story happening right now in 2026 is the wildest chapter yet. The origin. Before the mansions. Before the cars. Before the money team. Floyd Mayweather Jr. grew up around addiction, poverty, and a father who was in and out of prison. Boxing wasn't a hobby for Floyd. It was survival. He turned professional in 1996 at just 19 years old, fresh off a bronze medal at the Atlanta Olympics. And here's the detail most people skip past. Floyd wasn't just a fighter. From day one, he studied the business side of boxing like it was a second opponent in the ring. In 2006, he made the single most important financial decision of his career, and it had nothing to do with punching anyone. He paid $750,000 out of his own pocket to buy himself out of his promotional contract. Most fighters would never do that. Promoters take a massive cut of every purse, every pay-per-view dollar, every sponsorship deal. Floyd looked at that system and said, "No thanks. I'll be my own boss." That single move is the reason Floyd Mayweather isn't just one of the richest boxers ever. He's arguably the richest athlete per fight in the history of sports. The numbers that break your brain. Let's talk numbers, because this is where it gets absurd. Over the course of his career, Mayweather has pulled in more than $1.1 billion in total earnings.
Damn.
Not revenue for a company, not a franchise valuation, actual money earned by one man hitting other men on purpose for a living. The biggest single payday? The 2017 crossover fight against UFC champion Conor McGregor. That single event generated roughly $700 million in worldwide revenue. And Mayweather's personal purse alone is reported to have exceeded $300 million. Let that sink in. One night, one fight, a number most CEOs won't see in a decade. And here's the twist that made him money in the first place. Floyd doesn't just earn like that. He spends like that. In public, on purpose, as marketing, private jets aren't a luxury for him. They're a prop. Floyd has flown to fights, to Vegas nightclubs, even to grocery runs on private planes worth tens of millions of dollars. His watch collection alone reads like a heist movie prop list. Diamond-encrusted timepieces, some individually valued north of $1 million that he wears stacked on both wrists at once. Almost like he's daring you to do the math. His car collection is the stuff of legend. Bugattis, Rolls-Royces, Ferraris, custom painted and often duplicated in multiple colors. Because apparently owning one Bugatti just wasn't money enough. The mansion and the lifestyle. Floyd's Las Vegas mansion is estimated to be worth around $10 million. And that's before you factor in the closets. Yes, closets, plural, built specifically to house his sneaker and jewelry collections like museum exhibits. But here's what separates Floyd from other athletes who blow their fortunes. He treats spending as content. Every purchase becomes a headline. Every stack of cash becomes a photo. Every private jet becomes a story. It's not recklessness. It's strategy. Floyd figured out something most celebrities never do. The appearance of limitless wealth generates more business than quietly being rich ever could. Sponsors want to be near it. Fans want to watch it. Headlines chase it, and it worked. For over a decade, Money Mayweather wasn't just a nickname. It was one of the most bankable personal brands in the world. The pivot nobody saw coming. Now, here's the part of the story that a lot of people missed. Around 2024 and 2025, while headlines were still focused on exhibition fights against YouTubers and influencers, Floyd was quietly making one of the biggest financial moves of his life, completely outside the ring. Reports surfaced of Mayweather pouring roughly $400 million into a real estate portfolio, dozens of buildings across New York City, along with holdings in Chicago and Miami. Think about that shift for a second. The man built his brand on liquid cash, stacks of hundreds you could physically hold, and now he's converting that into buildings, property, long-term assets. That's not just a boxer having fun with money anymore. That's a billionaire in training playing a completely different game. On paper, some of those real estate moves pushed projections of his total asset value toward the billion-dollar mark. The plot twist. But, and this is where the story gets genuinely dramatic, 2026 threw a wrench into the empire. Mayweather has found himself tangled in serious legal disputes. He filed a lawsuit alleging that over $300 million of his fight earnings from years past were never properly paid out and remain unaccounted for. On top of that, he claims a former associate defrauded him out of tens of millions more. Because so much of his fortune is tied up in property, private deals, and legal gray areas rather than sitting liquid in a bank account. His net worth estimates for 2026 have actually been pulled back by analysts. Most conservative figures now land somewhere between $400 and $500 million. Compare that to the billion-dollar projections just a year or two earlier, and you start to see the real story here. Even for the man who built an entire identity around cash, converting flash into lasting generational wealth is a completely different fight than winning inside the ropes. And Floyd, ever the businessman, isn't just sitting on the sidelines while lawyers sort it out. The comeback nobody saw coming. At an age when most boxers are commentating from a broadcast booth, Floyd is reportedly lining up a rematch with Manny Pacquiao, one of the biggest names of his own era, with talk of the event streaming globally to a massive audience. Even in exhibition form, these kinds of events can pull in tens of millions of dollars for a single appearance. Floyd doesn't need the money to survive. He needs it to keep the brand alive. to keep Money Mayweather as relevant in his 50s as he was in his prime. That's the real secret behind his empire. It was never really about boxing. Boxing was the vehicle. The real skill, the one that made him one of the richest athletes who ever lived, was understanding attention, leverage, and image better than almost anyone else in sports history. So here's the real question this story leaves you with. Is Floyd Mayweather a genius who mastered the business of fame, or a cautionary tale of how even a billion-dollar fortune can get complicated when it's built on spectacle instead of structure? Maybe he's both. Either way, one thing is certain. Nobody in the history of sports has ever made spending money look like such a calculated, brilliant business move. If you want part 2, where we break down the exact real estate deals, the lawsuits, and the Pacquiao rematch odds, drop a comment below and hit subscribe, because this story is far from over.